Wilson killed it today, didn't he? Interim head coach Frank Wilson took the podium for the first time as the sitting interim head coach of the LSU Tigers, and I thought he killed it. And I know that a lot of you will look at today and say, man, this was a breath of fresh air, and it was. Got to give Frank a lot of credit. You know, we make a lot of things out of situations that come out of coaching searches and coaching firings. And we don't talk about the guy that steps in for your university when they're at their most vulnerable. And right now, you are at one of your more vulnerable states. I look at Frank Wilson, who is an LSU guy, a New Orleans guy, a Louisiana guy, who instantly you know that this place means something dearly to him. You know, when I listen to Frank Wilson, I hear him say, when he's asked what went wrong, and he doesn't shy away from the high standards of this place. Now, he's not going to go out there and give you details like, hey, if I were the head coach, I would have done this, and this. But the one thing is that, listen, everybody's got to understand when they're employed at LSU what the standard is at LSU. And I think that it is just refreshing that someone who has the tag or the label next to their name, interim or not, that it's refreshing to hear how they approach it for all of the masses, not just the local media, not just the fans, but the national media that will be a part of this. Frank Wilson today was asked about his thoughts of his future at this place. And he says, it's not my job to worry about that. This is more than just a job. This is more than just a job. This is more than just everything that everybody wants to talk about. Listen, this is for the state of Louisiana and this great institution. And he's right. There's nobody that I would want on that staff right now to lead you through this situation better than him. Now, Frank Wilson did talk with the media today, as we mentioned. And I think that he got asked the same question about 6 or 7 or 8 times. And I think our media corps has got to be better at not asking the same damn question over and over again. Like, why didn't anybody ask him an offensive question? I understand the questions about what does this place mean to you? I thought that was a really good one. I thought it was a really good question. I like some of the questions like, hey, what went wrong? But he can only say these things and bring these things up so many times. I like when he's asked about recruiting and only having 2 starters on the offensive side from the state of Louisiana. That's a good one. Why didn't anybody ask him what do you plan on looking like offensively? I mean, guys, I get it. He's not going to give you anything. We all know what's going on at the current moment with all of this. We have a pretty good idea about everything that's going on. Whether right, wrong, or indifferent, we know what's going on to some extent. Hey, do you think that Michael Van Buren's going to get a shot here? We'll see. But I do find it refreshing that Frank Wilson brought back some things that had been long-forming standards around LSU, like the Tiger Bowl. Hey, the young guys scrimmaged today, and they went after it. The older guys cheered them on. That had been a long-standing tradition since Les had been here. I think Nick did it once the final year he was here. And then Brian Kelly came here and he didn't do it. He didn't care. My way or the highway. And when I see Frank and him understanding this job, it's the opposite of what Brian Kelly understood the job was. I never really had a problem with Brian Kelly coming in and doing things his way because he is the head coach. But the tradition of LSU, like number 18, Brian Kelly made those decisions. The way that I understand number 18 is that the former number 18s are supposed to pick it. I don't know if they would have picked this year's current number 18. 7 is supposed to be passed down by the players. You're not supposed to be a part of that tradition and control it. And the first thing that Frank Wilson comes in today and does is he goes back to the roots of when LSU was great. I know that Frank is going to do a lot of things, and look, this thing's got to play out. And I hope that he does a fantastic job because, guys, we're all LSU fans. But the biggest thing that Frank Wilson said today is simple. What do we have to lose? We got to come together as a team, and we got to go out there and perform. Guys, let's go finish this thing. Because I will tell you, the playoff clarifications are different now. Strength of schedule becomes a big factor here. Strength of record becomes a big factor here. And if you have momentum and you win this thing out in the month of November, there is no telling what possibilities and what college football that is always crazy will bring up to you. Nevertheless, we're live. Everyone do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every AYS Sports Show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today on Android or iPhone and place all of your bets with our good partners and friends over at FanDuel. You want to do parlays, futures, just normal straight-up bets? You can do that all with our good friends over at FanDuel. The reason they're the number one sportsbook inside the state of Louisiana is because how great they do things behind the scenes. They are always doing the right thing for their clients and their customers and for the people that sign up. I am proud to be partnered with our good friends over at FanDuel, and we greatly appreciate them being a part of AYS Sports. For any thoughts, questions, concerns, go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details, and they will be able to answer those questions for you in more detail. Let's get to a couple of questions here before we get rolling. We've got a couple of members and a super chat. Kelly became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Kelly. I greatly appreciate you doing that for us. I greatly, greatly appreciate you joining. We'll probably be having some content, some members-only content, probably tomorrow, Thursday morning, depending on the timing of things and how things go, but we will get that some up this week. Lucas Abear with a $2 super chat says, Lane Kiffin is not the right guy for LSU. Why isn't he the right guy for LSU? Listen, I will say this in reference to the LSU coaching search. We all have the people that we would want to go after. If you're asking me, I think there's 3 people that LSU has to get no's from immediately. Number 1, you got to talk to Dan Lanning. Now, I know I had Josh Pate on the show a couple of days ago, and we talked about that, and he said that he thought it would be really difficult to get Dan Lanning away from Oregon, and I agree with him. I got to hear him tell me no. I need to find out if I have the wherewithal and the financial backing to be able to get him in the first place, to get him out of there, even if he wanted to come here. That's number 1. I think Dan Lanning has shown at Oregon some of the really, really good things he can do. You know, people forget he won the Big Ten last year. And he's still learning. And he's a damn good recruiter. And this place that produces a lot of elite talent inside of the state needs an elite recruiter. That you need an elite recruiter. That's number 1. Do I think that Dan Lanning is going through some of the same things like Kirby Smart did in the early part of his head coaching tenure? Yeah. Do I feel the same thing, that he's going through the same things as Ryan Day early in his tenure? Yes. Guys, both of those dudes won national titles, and I feel like he's going to win one too. It only depends on where is he going to do that at. Is he going to do that at Oregon, or is he going to do that at somewhere else? But I don't agree with all of you as an example that a guy like Dan Lanning, oh, he's not a great coach. What has he done? Well, he won the Big Ten. And what did Kirby do the first couple of years that he was there? Like, these things take time that you're not allowing some of these coaches to do. How long did it take Ryan Day? How long did it take Nick Saban? And it took Nick Saban coming to LSU for that goal to ultimately be realized. Like, we look at coaches in such a different lens. So when I look at Dan Lanning, if you're asking me, money aside, or if I had billions and billions of dollars and I wanted to spend it on LSU, one of the first calls, if not the first call that I make, is to Dan Lanning. What is your interest? That's number one. But the Super Chat brought up Lane Kiffin. Guys, Lane Kiffin to me at LSU makes the most logical sense. I think if you ask me about the decision of Lane Kiffin, which I don't know Lane Kiffin, this is clearly opinion. If you ask me about the decision of Lane Kiffin, every single day that goes on here and there's not a breaking, Lane Kiffin has signed an extension at Ole Miss, for me, it seems more and more evident that at the very minimum, and I don't think that this is going to happen, I think he's going to go, but at the bare minimum, he is going to look at both of these schools, meaning Florida and LSU, and say, hey, I think I can win bigger there, and I can recruit better there, and I can sustain there. For all of those who have hesitancy around Lane Kiffin, I suggest that you go watch the documentary that came out about him maybe a month ago or so. You can tell that there are things that have changed. You can tell. I think that he makes the most logical sense. I think he could come here and recruit at a high level, a very high level. I think that he cares. I think that he's hungry to go and win. I think that he would do a really good job at LSU. You know that offensively you're going to be very good. And guys, look what he's doing with Les. Look what he's doing with a D3 quarterback right now, and Winadad Chambliss. That's his nickname, Winadad Chambliss. He could do so much more here. Guys, the truth of the matter is since 2020, Ole Miss has been an overall better program than you have been. You don't, well, we got to an SEC championship game. You're right, you did. But as an overall sustained program getting to 10 wins at Ole Miss, he's done that. You know, I've debated the last couple of days of who my number one call would be. The God's honest truth, it would be Lane Kiffin. It would be Lane Kiffin. And I'm not looking back. What is it going to take you to get here? And I would go find the money. Guys, if I ran LSU, if it took me going in debt to go and get him, I'm going to get him. But even if you paid him $13 million a year for a 7-8 year deal, whatever it is, I think that he instantly would come in here and have more success. And he wants this job. Because there's already reports out there that he wanted the job in 2021. He wanted to replace Ed Orgeron. And Scott didn't think that he was mature enough to do it. And I don't think Scott Woodward's making this decision. I don't think Verge Alsbury. I know there was a report out there today about Verge Alsbury's not making this decision, guys. That report from Football Scoop, with all due respect to the guys that do a really good job at Football Scoop, they got lied to. That's not true. Verge Alsbury's not going to be making this decision. But if you ask me, that would be the first call that I make. Last but not least, I would kick tires on other guys. Marcus Freeman, Jeff Brom, Kenny Dillingham, Brent Key. But the third call, and really probably the first actual call that I should make, does Nick Saban still have that itch? Why not? What is he going to tell me? No? What is Nick Saban going to tell me? No? So what if he tells me no? It's 1,000% no if I don't ever ask. You never, to all the guys out there that are single, the honey that you think is a baddie is never going to go out with you if you don't ask. The baddie never goes out with you if you don't ask. She ain't going to approach you, big dog. That's not how this works. Go up there and be a man. Be a man. Like it's Mulan up in this hole. Go up and ask. Nick, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, here's $60 million. None of you would blink an eye. So if you're asking me what I would do, those would be the first 3 moves that I'd make. All right. Eagles fan from the South has become a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Derek Morgan gifted 5 people an AYS Sports membership on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Derek. I greatly appreciate that. In case all of you don't know, 5 of you randomly are going to get memberships on the YouTube channel for AYS. So be on the lookout for it. Derek, man, thank you so much. I do greatly appreciate that. Cajun Tiger with a $5 super chat. Humbly, greatly appreciate you sending that in. Lucas says he doesn't care about the fan base. Lucas, none of these coaches care about the fan bases. Not really. If you don't want to hire Lane Kiffin because you don't think that he cares about the fan base, then, buddy, you better get over a lot of it because a lot of them aren't going to care about it either. They're not. They're not. Jesse O'Neill says, I don't know, Blake. I think Frank's hardest line today was the Pearl Harbor reference. Yeah, the being invaded and the siren going off. Yeah, that was a good one. That we've invaded and that speech. Yeah, it was really good. And I agree with Frank there. I agree with Frank. I mean, it's a great way of putting it in a lot of ways. Like, hey, man, all hell's broken loose. And we got to find a way to come together. And he's not wrong. I think, here's what I think from Frank Wilson today that really stands up to me. He doesn't go out there and say that if he doesn't think because of this move and what happened, that team inside that room's not fractured. And how do you unfracture it? You know, I think of what Ed did in a lot of ways, right? I think of what Ed did and coming out 5 wide after Les Miles. That would be something. I'm really intrigued to see what he does there. All right. A couple of more really quickly here. Michael with a $10 super chat says Lane and his offense would keep fans in their seats without a doubt. They wouldn't leave at halftime. 1,000%. 1,000%. That's true. And you'll be in a lot of games, and he will try to lock down the state because I think that you'll produce better receivers than what he's got right now at Ole Miss. Arctic Tiger says in Saban's court now, $14 million with $30 million of NIL. Go do it. I mean, guys, go for broke. What do you have to lose? Nobody would bat an eye if Nick Saban came back here, meaning you wouldn't hate it. Bryce Powell with a $2 super chat. What's the chances of us going 3-1 or even winning out? Well, we're going to talk about this just a minute. I think that you could go 3-1. I do think that you lose to Bama in 2 weeks. Because, guys, there's a lot to overcome here. You got a brand new play caller. You could have a brand new quarterback. You know, I think it would be a lot. I don't know. Could you do it? Yeah, you can do it. I think I can see an avenue of you winning out. Do you do it? I'm not sure here. I'm not sure. Dane Bergeron with a $5 super chat says, Blake, you have to call Miss Terry. She tells Nick what to do. That's true. If LSU gets Saban, I will come over with a case of beer and we'll watch Bama cry and melt. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't drink beer, but bring the hard liquor. Nobody would bat an eye, Dane. It would be amazing. Abram sends a $2 super chat, says, what was BK hires versus those hired by the AD? Blake Baker was not a Brian Kelly hire. Corey Raymond wasn't a Brian Kelly hire. Frank Wilson wasn't a Brian Kelly hire. Some all-field staff was not Brian Kelly hires. Guys, you brought in 3 members this offseason, and I don't think Brian Kelly spoke to them once before they came here. I think Austin Thomas has had, and Frank have been having to lead this. There's a lot of delegating to Frank on a lot of these situations. Ray's Cajun says Frank's pressure felt like an LSU church service. No doubt, and he was testifying. Testify. I'm with you there. I'm completely with you. It is the truth. All right, let's get rolling here. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups and on Facebook and all those social media pages. Hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, 50% of y'all do not subscribe to the YouTube channel. So we are well over 750,000 views on the YouTube channel alone this month. The month's not even over yet. 50% of you aren't subscribed. So do us a favor and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. And send it to 10 of your friends and tell them to subscribe. Just do us a favor. It's all I ask. All right, let's get moving here. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk about some actual football here. Carter Bryant joins us next. We'll talk about the coaching search and all the things LSU here as well coming up. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick.
We're back.
All right. Carter Bryant joins us in just a moment. I wanted to get to this before we got to Carter here. But Frank Wilson, your interim head coach today, said that, actually in a lot of words, but in not so many words about, and gave you a preview of maybe what you should expect in 2 weeks versus the University of Alabama. I want to make something very clear here because I've said it a couple of times, and I don't think based off of the comments that I've seen from the show that it's registered yet. I have been told, and Brian Kelly alluded to this over the last couple of weeks in his press conferences, that Alex Atkins has been a very big deal, and Frank Wilson confirmed this today in his press conference, that Alex Atkins has basically already taken over the run game before this news came out. And there has been a conversation that you and I have had over the last couple of days and weeks about this LSU team offensively. And Frank Wilson came out today and said, listen, we're going to run the ball. And we're going to run the ball at a high level. And when we run the ball at a high level, and we're going to run the ball a lot, and I promise you, words his words, we're going to run the football. There's something here I need to point out. Something that I want you to expect offensively moving forward under Frank Wilson is he said that they're going to do this collectively as a unit and try to attack this completely as a unit. All right, well, let's see how that works. Because the last 3 weeks, this run game has not been bad at all. On 58 rushes, this running back room has gotten 348 yards on the ground and 1 touchdown. They're averaging exactly 6 yards a carry. 3 weeks is 3 weeks. I could tell you, like, South Carolina's in the top 25 in run defense. Vanderbilt's in the top 15 in run defense. Oh, and by the way, I look at A&M, they're top 20 in the country in run defense. You're running the ball for 6 yards a carry against your last 3 opponents. They're in the top 25 at stopping the run. So against the toughest part of your schedule that you have played so far, the toughest teams that have been able to stop the run, you and your running back room have been able to run for 6 yards a carry. Do I think this offensive line is great? No. Do I think they're average? Not, maybe not really. I do think this run game is going to start getting going under Alex Atkins. One thing that I think that we all need to understand, and we'll talk about a lot next week, I have a very good feeling that there are going to be some personnel moves. At least they're going to try to compete within the next 2 weeks to change some things. What do you do at quarterback? Do you give some other receivers a look here? And how much do you try to open this thing up? I don't think Alabama has any idea what's coming for them. Now, I don't think that the complete system changes on how you do things. And it's going to take a really strong 2 weeks to get things really moving here. But I do think that this coaching staff sees that there have been productive things going on in the run game because, guys, it literally has been. If I would have told you in the beginning of the season that in the month of October versus A&M, Vandy, South Carolina, that you would run the ball with your running backs for 6 yards a carry, you would say, well, Blake, we found an offensive line, we found a run game, and we're going to get really moving here. It's going to be interesting to see how they attack. Does this staff give guys like Chris Hilton a shot? I think you need to be a little bit eye-opening for that. This offense has not worked in so many different ways. And I'm really intrigued to see with Joe Sloan out of the building how things are orchestrated and how things are pushed forward. The last thing that I'd say here about offensively before Carter joins us, I think that there are things along your offensive line that could be changed in these next couple of weeks too. I think that they're going to look and do a deep dive in and of themselves and see if they can make some other things work here. If they do, great. But you got to make changes, and you got to try to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because if it does stick, well, you could be cooking with grease. Defensively, I will say this. This should have been asked at the press conference. It wasn't. Frank, how involved are you going to be defensively? Because we don't know. Like, do you give a lot of autonomy to Blake Baker here on what things are happening defensively? Do you look at this as from a game plan standpoint and say to yourself, hey, listen, Frank, I got you on defense. Sounds good. I'm going to give you complete autonomy on what to do defensively. Does Blake Baker make a move on Harold Perkins? I don't know. What do they do there? That will be a very big question. But we haven't talked football here. Next week, we will talk a lot of football here. I think it's something to keep our eyes out on moving forward. All right, let me get to a quick break. When we come back, Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to the website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. We're back. You know who's not back?
Mr. Brian Kelly.
There you go. There you go.
I agree with old Tamara in the chat. Coach Frank is like a breath of fresh air. I agree. I've listened, rewound and listened to some of the other things you had to say tonight. And let's run this damn ball. I kind of want to get one of those run the damn ball hats. I wish, Blake, Theodore, Frederick, Ruffino.
Not my name, but continue.
Yeah, I know. It's not. I just made up a middle name for you.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have asked about the quarterback situation.
Yeah, that pissed me off. They were so worried about other things, trying to get other things, and I understand it. But, Carter, look, me and you have had this debate over the last 3 weeks, and I'm just telling you, this team's found a way to run the football.
Yeah, and it gets better if you have a quarterback that has some, not elite mobility. He has some mobility. It becomes even better with that. And obviously,
even if it's not him, Carter, I mean, the running backs the last 3 weeks against top 30 defenses, and I know that we talked about this last week, but let's just get in. They're running for 6 yards of carry, big dog. I mean, I just got to be – you can have a shitty O-line and see what Harlem Berry does and be effective, like the patience that he has. I'm sorry, brother. They're finding a way to smack them cheeks up front. If they would have stayed with the run game, things would have been a little bit different versus A&M.
The Harlem Berry touchdown run made you – he looked like Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the same jersey.
I moaned.
What?
I moaned.
Had to get a pillow, man.
Yeah.
To cover the lap. It was that. It really was that great of a run. It looked simple, but just a little hezzy and then bounce. That's how 22 made us hay. Those bounce jump cuts, man. They're lethal, and Harlem has that in his game. So, Blake, it needed to be done. I know I haven't been on your lovely program since then, but it's time to move on. Time to find the next guy. Shout out to you, Brian Kelly. Go on the private jet with a belly full of superior margarita and burritos. There you go. So, look, it's over. The Brian Kelly era was mid. I think that would be the best way to describe it at best. And then it became rancid. And Blake, this becomes interesting now because everybody wants to call and get their narrative out. So it's important. You know, I know you've done a good job of this, but not to get so caught up into anything that you read, right? The mudslinging happens now, and whatever happens next. So on to Alabama.
I do think that everybody's trying to get what happened to go down, and here's the truth. It doesn't matter. He's fired. And I think that, Carter, let me tell you, let's start off here. So Brian Kelly's been fired. Does it worry you at all? And I'll follow you up on this. Does it worry you at all that you're paying a coach potentially $53 million to walk away on, look, your governor has gotten involved. You probably are not going to have an athletic director. Okay. Like, I think it's trending in that direction. I do think that you have a new president that will be here probably within the month. Does it, like, I look at it from a head coach's perspective and I say to myself, wait, you just paid a guy $53 million to walk away. You don't have a sitting president. You don't have an athletic director. Boy, you're going to have to do me a lot of convincing to come there. By the way, do you have the funds for NIL after you're paying a guy $53 million to walk away? Like, that worries me. And I understand what you can't do and keep Brian Kelly with the way that things are going on, but that's got to be a worry for LSU fans, right?
Yes, you should be very worried about this because during the Brian Kelly tenure, it was Scott's search. And now there's always different hands in the cookie jar with every search. But my understanding was Scott handled most of it, and there was really not that many people in the know of what was really happening. You might have heard differently, but that's how it was explained to me how everything actually happened. This is probably going to be different because there's going
to be a lot of hands in the cookie jar.
And you just have to accept that as an LSU fan because, look, to your point about the president, I've also heard the same. We'll also say that the Pete Thamel of president reporting, athletic director reporting is a guy by the name of Matt Brown. He does a newsletter points. He reported that. So that's his thing is talking to these people. So we'll see. I've heard that the final rounds are going through right now.
It's over.
Oh,
it's over. I mean, they'll make an announcement, but I'm pretty confident this is over. I think I think maybe a little bit before, a little bit after, you're going to have a sitting president that aligns with the governor.
So, well, and then obviously, I do think, Blake, that Scott is not going to make this next hire. I don't
either.
I don't. I think what really hurts him is in this scenario, the national media has just completely turned on Woodward, like to the point where they're like, how can any reasonable person give this guy another shot when he has schools $100 million in the hole at minimum?
Well, to defend him, Ross Bjork gave Jimbo the extension.
That's true. And that's not all on Scott, but guess what, Blake? Most people don't look at it that way. They don't like that extra context. They just look at it like,
yeah, when in 2020 when they went 9-1, he was not there to give him the extension. That's not on Scott.
And I'm with you on that.
Right.
But it's what is out there. So I think it will be someone else, and even if it is somebody else. So one thing I would say is, and I know this is a way lesser program than LSU, but Arkansas did this when they hired a coach before they actually got a new AD in, and it was a disaster. That turned out to be Chad Morris. So, alignment is a word that gets thrown out a whole hell of a lot, but alignment does really matter now because now you're not just hiring a coach who does basically everything. What is that coach's vision for not the assistants? It's always been there, but for the general manager, the front office? How does all of that play into this equation? So it's very important to keep that in mind because there's just so many more variables involved here than what happened during the Brian Kelly search.
I want to be careful here. Does Austin Thomas being your general manager ease those tensions?
It does, in terms of how people view him. He's had so much positive press from us, quite frankly, and people there as well. I will say, what if Lane Kiffin is a guy? What if Lane's a guy? And Austin left Ole Miss to come to LSU. How does that work out? I
don't think that that relationship is spoiled at all.
I don't either. So, but that is something you do think about at the very least. I also think, for me, do you, as a fan base, would you be okay with this guy not being a name? Let me ask you that, Blake. Would you be fine?
No.
So
I would not. No.
So you want this to be somebody that's
Go for the jugular.
Right. But understand, though, just to push back on that, if you were to really go for a name like Lane Kiffin, or you had a great segment, by the way, look, you had Josh Pate. I mean, the commish on your channel.
Yeah, I got hired for I'm going to be the director of Bayou Affairs. So
Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank
you. I hate that your audience goes from that to this. Not as jacked, not as big, all those different things. But for me, you want this next guy to have a name, Blake. Like,
yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay. So
I mean, name a person you've ever met that didn't have a name.
Well, God, dog, dude, I hate your. I
know what you're saying. Yes, I want a big name.
Okay, so let me throw a name at you, and you tell me if this because this is your channel.
Okay.
Is Brent Key a big enough name for you?
No, and Brent Key really worries me because the success without Haynes King is really bad. When Haynes King has not been there, things have gotten very bad for Georgia Tech. What I worry about with Brent Key, I love the style of play. I love the toughness. I love the culture. I don't know if they know how to throw a vertical pass when it matters.
Okay. So every coach so it's the Brent Key line, because that would be, I think, a name. It's not a big name per se.
I wouldn't hate Brent Key at all. Like I would not hate that hire at all. I know we're going to be tough. It fits what people think of LSU, the toughness. That this shit's gonna get tough. I mean, it gives a great vibe. How much Georgia Tech football has people on this channel that's watching right now really watched?
I watch a decent amount, but probably not as much as you have.
Okay. Yeah. They are horrible throwing the football around. And I get to a place where when Haynes King was out or Haynes King has been beat up, they are a one-trick pony. And what are you going to pay him? Because, Carter, here's the truth. Georgia Tech's going to pay him, let's just say in this new restructure, let's just say $8, $9 to $10 million a year to stay there, which means that you're going to have to get him to $11 or $12 million.
Which is too much.
Which is too much for him. So if the going rate for Lane Kiffin is 6 to 7 years for 13 and a half, yes, it would bother me.
Interesting. So that's where I'm going to push back on you here, is if it's going to be a name, it's going to cost that much, right? So if you want it to be a name bigger than Brent Key per se, then it's going to cost something in that region, yes or no?
Well, it's reported that a booster is paying majority, if not all, of the buyout.
Okay.
And with all due respect, and I mean this with all due respect, this is going to be something that comes up on my show on Thursday. Guess what the gross number of LSU football was last year? $187 million
in revenue.
In revenue, gross, not net, gross. Okay. That means in 10 years, that means in 5 years, you're pushing being $1 billion industry. If you are listed on the NASDAQ, your business could be listed on the NASDAQ. Don't come at me with money.
So
don't come at me with money. I'm sorry. The money argument to me is bullshit. You know why it's bullshit? Because you just fired a guy for $53 million and you did it with a sitting governor, and you did it in a locker room. So don't you dare come at me with money.
But you're opposed, just to be clear, you're opposed to Lane Kiffin at 13.
No, I'm not opposed to it. No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you said. My bad.
I'm not gonna risk this place for money. You know why? Because, Carter, things got so bad that billionaires came out of the woodwork that are LSU people and said, enough is enough. I don't think – here's the truth. I don't think people fully understand where LSU really is and what they really are. Here's the real truth. Brian Kelly went to fans and said, we need money, and he didn't go to his biggest boosters, not the biggest ones, not the ones that actually matter, not the ones that are not in the state that have billion-dollar businesses in other states.
So
I'm thinking of that I know for a fact he didn't contact, which I would let the man sleep in my bed if he needed to.
yeah, I mean, look, Blake, you know how much I adore Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
He ended up being the number 2 guy in my last search. And, it would be dishonest to your audience, my audience, that since then, and this was pre-2022 with all the things that he's done since then, which is crazy, it would be dishonest if I wouldn't be excited for that hire, knowing that he was my number 2 guy last time, and he has far exceeded any expectations I thought he could have done at Ole Miss. Which then lends itself to, would you be okay with him agreeing to the job, but, he would want to finish out what he would need to finish out at Ole Miss?
Yeah, you know why?
Let's go.
When was Kalen DeBoer hired?
Oh, late.
February.
The slosh treatment. Not quite slosh, but it was.
When was he hired?
It was late.
With
Way
all
after.
due respect, a program that is known for winning and a team that might win the SEC waited till February. And I think Nick waited. And you're not going to be able to convince me that Alabama just all of a sudden knew that Saban wasn't. I do not believe the story that Nick Saban woke up one day and said, I want to retire. Are you kidding me?
Let me throw out one name.
But to your point, if he's your dude, to stay to that, if your guy is in the playoff, you wait for him. Now, do you want an answer or have a pretty damn good idea before you go? Like, hey, Lane, are you going to Florida? Because we got to make a move here. But let me ask you this. If you go to Eli Drinkwitz, as an example, is Eli going to turn you down?
No. That's a name that's piqued my interest. Because you start thinking, if you're Eli, is this the max? Is this where I have maxed out? And Lane's obviously asking that same question. You potentially get the drink reunion with the old Blake Baker, and then you see what old Kirby Moore does. Kirby, of course, does Missouri hire him as their permanent? I could see them doing something like that, but I would love Kirby Moore to be the LSU offensive coordinator. He's phenomenal. You being a big Missouri
what
guy.
he does.
Yeah, he's really good. So, Drink would excite me quite a bit. And something else for Drink is he is big on playing Arkansas every year because he hates them more than any coach hates any program. So he would love to stick it to Arkansas with even better players. But yeah, I've grown on the idea of Drink, but who knows with the big name hunting. So for you, it would need to be someone along those lines. Would let me throw a name out there that I don't think that. Let me throw a name out there that you have not discussed yet. At least I don't think you've discussed.
Okay.
Kenny Dillingham.
Oh, I've discussed him. I wouldn't mind it.
I've
discussed it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, he's going to give it everything he's got, and that's all I can care for. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I make sure of. You hired Brian Kelly for stability, and I do think to some extent he gave you quote unquote stability. I mean, here's the truth. He did win 10 games, 9 games. I don't think that that's utter chaos. So when we talk about Brian Kelly, do you think that like this year, yes, I agree with you, things started getting bad. He won 29 games in 3 seasons. I don't consider that utter chaos. But I think that we're in a place, too, where you look at this, Carter, I'm overpaying for stability.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can convince me that Lane, who's done it at Ole Miss, can't do it here. It's a proven track record.
Yeah, and look, to the Brian Kelly 29 wins. And look, 29 wins, it's tough anywhere. But where I would push back is when you peel back the layers of the onion.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 home playoff losses, or I say home playoff, 3 home blowout losses.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Is
is
that
just,
chaos?
yeah, I don't like getting blown out at home.
No. Not liking something and outright Ed Orgeron having big boob, blonde haired women.
Oh well, yeah, that's. I mean, that's yes. As far as behind the scenes, yeah, it's not to that, right?
Mhm.
Which is why this revisionist Orgeron shouldn't have been fired. History is just crazy to me at this point.
I'm not even entertaining those Rudy Poos.
Dude, you got to give him the lemon
No,
pepper.
I'm not giving them the light of day. Get out of my face.
Well, I would also say, though, versus ranked opponents, you bring up ranked opponents pretty often. Brian Kelly 5-11, but when you go a little bit deeper, he was 5-11 against the spread as well. And that is by far the worst in the SEC, by far. So it's not just that he lost the games. He
didn't perform. But I get to a point where people are saying, look, there's a lot of chaos. You're right. Right now, there seems to be a lot of chaos outside of what's going on. At the same time, it's not Ed chaos in that regard.
No, I would definitely say that.
Because you came on my show and started asking me questions. Let me ask you a question. Here's the truth. I know you well enough. If you're sitting across the table from Lane Kiffin and he says, I want a 7-year, $13.5 million a year deal, I know you well enough. You're going to do it.
Yes. I'm in on it.
So then let's stop with the money thing.
No, yeah. No, I'm for it. I'm for it.
Kenny Dillingham, I think, would be good because he's constantly raising funds for Arizona State. Like he did a booster event 2 weeks ago and tweeted it on social media like, hey, man, I need y'all's help. And like 1,000 people showed up at like $25 a plate dinner.
And, Kenny fixes and this is a for sure thing. I don't know Kenny well. I don't know.
He will do some boneheaded shit now.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to win a press conference, you go hire Kenny Dillingham, right? You can also
he's done some boneheaded stuff. He almost lost a playoff spot because of some boneheaded decision making.
What, the Hail Mary game or whatever it was?
The Hail Mary, the fake punt, the running in the back of the end zone for 70 yards, and then they called an illegal procedure on it. I mean, all this kind of stuff.
Well, an Arizona transfer has done well here before. I'll put it like that.
Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State. Excuse me. But I just like Kenny a lot. It could just be.
I wouldn't mind him, but I'm going to make 3 other people tell me no before I go to Kenny Dillingham.
So I saw the Ruffino and Joe graphic. You're Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning on a different tier than everybody right now.
Our social media team did that. That was not necessarily how I ranked it. Okay. So just to give you an idea of the 3 places I would go, I am calling Nick Saban, and at minimum, I'm giving him $1 million to help me with this search. Bottom line. And then when he says, yeah, I'll do that, and be like, well, hey, what do you think about coming back and taking the job over? And if he says, I'll do it 4 years, $60 million, I'll be like, where do you want me to meet you? That's number 1. Number 2, by the way, I'm putting a contract in the deal that LSU has got to fund him with $25 million of NIL. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going Lane Kiffin. I'm making Lane Kiffin tell me no at least 1,000 times. I am Steve Urkel, and he is Steve. He's Laura. Okay, you got me? I am Steve Urkel. He is Laura. And number 3, I want to see this buyout that Dan Lanning and everybody keeps telling me about.
Oh, Dan. People in Baton Rouge love cigars, man. And fit right in.
And here's the truth. He will not take no for an answer in recruiting.
Yeah, and I think Lanning is interested in getting back to the SEC. I do think so.
He is a Southern boy along with his wife.
So
she's not a boy, but you get what I'm saying. She's
yeah. I mean, go on. I don't think that that would be an interesting take. But so let me give you one more name.
okay.
I'm interviewing you instead of the other way around. But it's fun. It's fun when it's conversational like this.
It is.
The John Summerall hive is there. Okay. So what's interesting about Summerall?
I love him.
Yeah. So what makes him a little bit different is he is a defensive guy. Out of all these names we mentioned outside of Nick and Dan, of course, he's a defensive first guy. So you would need to make sure you always have a good OC. But would you consider John Summerall, of the non-P4 names that we mentioned, would that be your number one group of 5 coach that you would be interested in bringing in?
I would definitely talk to him. I would want to get to know Alex Golish at USF a little bit more if I went P4. That's number one. Number 2, because he did. I mean, listen. I want to talk to both of them. Here's an opinion on all of the John Summerall. Opinion of him coming to LSU. I talked about this last night, and it got pushback from people in the media, and they started calling me out. And if you want to go source for source with your 2,000 followers, you go right on ahead. But here's the truth. You have a sitting governor that's basically going to be tied to this hire whether we like it or not. I have a hard time with people that are in the legislature right now that are Republicans that have got law degrees from Tulane that would be very pissed off if he took John Summerall from Tulane and was a part of the orchestration to bring him to LSU. Well, I've seen pushback. Well, Blake's going somewhere anyway. Okay, that's fine. I don't think a lot of people understand what the politics behind this would be. I don't know if a sitting governor who, by the way, wants to run for a congressional seat from what I understand, after he is governor, I don't know if he can pull that off and politically survive it. That's number 1. Number 2, because let me tell you what's going to happen. Here comes a Democrat like John Bel Edwards, and I can't believe we got to talk about this on this show, but it's what's going on. Here comes John Bel Edwards, and he goes to New Orleans and says, look what the governor did to your city. Even if it's a Democrat, he can't do it. He can't do it. Carter, how long have you known me?
What? I would guess
coming up on like 6 years, correct?
That's aging me now. But yeah,
okay.
Ahead, yeah.
You knew my previous employer and where I was at every day.
Listen, yeah, I won't say who, but you would
know.
You would know. Yeah.
I lived that world for over a decade. I am telling you that those conversations are happening. There are people asking him not to do this. Regardless if he goes to Auburn when that job opens or not, they have asked him repeatedly not to do this. So regardless of what you want to say on it, I would love for him to be the head coach of LSU. Love it. You're going to have to get through some of this politics, and he's going to have to say, I don't care. This man's going to LSU.
Be on the lookout for Summerall at Arkansas as well. I mean, he's going to have so much interest.
He's from Alabama, 22 miles away from Auburn.
Do you think that that's Auburn's first choice?
I do.
So
I do.
But Hugh's not fired yet, Blake.
Oh, good Lord.
Can I say something without
Alabama's going to clap those godforsaken you-know-whats, and he's gone.
This is a complete side note, absent of everything, but it does suck this year in the SEC that the 3 of the best defenses, well, it was LSU's, but you can't really say that anymore. But man, DJ Durkin, if he is available,
what a dog,
dude! God bless America. I would, if for some reason Baker gets lost in all of this, he's got to be LSU's next defensive coordinator, man. He's that good, man.
4 straight top 20 defenses.
Holy shnik. Some of the things he did in that Arkansas game.
DJ Durkin, LSU head coach. That's what I heard Carter just say.
Oh, No, I normally go along with the joke, but no, there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't do that. But when it comes to being the actual defensive coordinator,
He's a beast.
dude, it's insane because I don't do a lot of Auburn film studies on the SEC channel, but I had to because I do an Arkansas one every week, and I was like, dude, this is hieroglyphics.
They
for any
completely
quarterback.
exposed A&M defense.
Yes, like think about what you just witnessed, and well, it's
DJ
crazy.
Durkin gave up 17 points to that team that walked up in here and walked you out at the stadium.
It's nuts, and not only that, it was their lone offensive play was a defensive play.
Yeah, Xavier Atkins picked it off. That one still makes me mad. Xavier Atkins got tackled at the 1 yard line and they scored.
Yeah, and
so
shout
stupid.
out to Debo. And he's a friend, but I won't go down that road because I know a lot of people feel sour about that. But there you go, man. If Lane Kiffin is the head coach at LSU, I would go berserk. I would be absolutely overjoyed.
What are your thoughts when people come at you and say, I'm trying to ask you this so we can end this conversation and people will stop bringing it up. When people bring up Kelvin Shepard or Joe Brady.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, like, by far the number one name that has been brought up on my channel is Kelvin Shepard. Like in the chat. You too?
Yep.
Yes. And I think there's a few reasons. Number one is that it's always a new flashy thing, right? So he becomes the defensive coordinator of the Lions.
They see him on Monday Night Football.
Right. And he was a fantastic player. I wasn't close with Shep when we were both at LSU. I interviewed him a gazillion times, and he is an awesome dude. And he would probably be a good head coach, but in the NFL, he's probably going to get a head coaching NFL job pretty soon. And do you really want his first head coaching role to be in college with the LSU Tigers? That would be asking a lot. And the same thing is true with Joe Brady, right? You're
especially with that Bengals job coming open.
Yeah, and what's weird about the Brady thing is when he was at LSU, there was and I didn't ever fully believe he didn't like recruiting stuff because he was here. Because is there some truth to that? Yeah, but he was here for a year, right? I just don't think he would take a college job when
he did come out in a press conference and say, I really don't like this recruiting stuff.
Yes, but you also don't know because he never really had like a full cycle, if you will, right?
You can't hire either one of them. I'm sorry, you can't. How do either one of them structure a staff?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do either one of them recruit?
I would say as a coordinator, sure, but not
correct. You can't like that. That discussion to me is so asinine because the NFL can do it. That's a whole different beast. But when I look at the stability of this place, I'm not risking it. I don't think you can risk it.
Yeah, and then it's not a football thing, though. That's what.
No, it's not a football thing. It's everything outside of the field.
Which is why you never take the that's why you never leave the NFL when you have a coordinator job.
Exactly.
So
why would I want to come to college and deal with NIL and recruiting? Why?
It is strange though, because Kelvin got the job because Aaron Glenn got a head coaching job, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think he's enjoying being a coordinator for the Lions. Like, I think also if he were to come to the college level, there's still going to be a piece of him that says, man, I left a contender. I left a team that is going to be in the Super Bowl hunt, not only this year, but the next year.
And what happens if they do get to a Super Bowl? God bless it. I don't think they will. But what happens if he's playing in February?
I mean, I don't know. I'm personally, I would love Kelvin Shepherd. He's one of my favorite Tigers, but not professionally. I can't fully get behind that when
I hate when people bring that up, dude. I loathe it. It drives me nuts. Cause like I'm not trying to be mean to the people that's saying that, but like, can we think logically?
Yeah, and then it puts him in a bad spot too.
Right, but it's an unlogical thing. Like it can't have him, Joe Brady. I can't go there. All right. What'd you think of Frank Wilson today?
Thought it was great. Like I mentioned earlier, I wish there was a question about Garrett. I do. Can we go there for just a second? Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Do you think that he's going to get benched now that Sloan and BK aren't here to protect him? Do you think that this is an option?
Yeah, I think it's definitely one. I know that there's all these discussions about how much Garrett has been hurt and all of that, and you and I had an hour-long conversation last night at like midnight about this. I personally, after watching the A&M game, and am just ready to see something. Look, I will tell you that it was frustrating. Okay, not only for because I do my own film study and all that, but when Garrett on that QB draw, I understand Weston got his ass demolished on that play, and he got beat so badly on that play it probably spooked Garrett. But never in a gazillion years
should he have bounced it.
Do you bounce that?
Mm-hmm.
Out of any Garrett, even more than the INTs, I swear, even more than the INTs, you have got to get big and bounce that, up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that it frustrated quite a few people that was just not rammed up in there.
Okay? Oh, I know it did.
It would infuriate me because, yes, if Garrett was sitting here, it would say, well, Weston got beat so bad, I'll bounce it or whatever.
No, but your team thinks that you got scared and you didn't want to do it.
Yes, you got to, tuck your shit in and go. I mean, I'm serious. Dude, that one, out of all the plays that I watched, you have got to buckle your chin strap and live with the results, because never should a QB draw be bounced. Hardly ever. Like, unless it is just crammed in and there's just no one out there, that play is for you to bounce that bad, or just to ram that thing right down the throat, no lube, just go after it. And what happens? You bounce it. Why? In what world is that okay? That, if I were an actual person in that building watching that, I would go insane. Freaking sane. Okay? You throw a pick in the red zone, we're used to it. But every quarterback that has a pulse rams that bad boy up the middle. That's where it goes. You don't need to know anything about football to look at that play and say, boom. So I am ready to see something new. Whether it's versus Alabama, I understand many would say, hey, well, Michael Van Buren on the road versus Alabama, that's not a good place to give him a start. Blake,
he's got 2 weeks.
And then go look at the games he played last year. Like, go look. Every game was like one of his first games was on the road versus Texas, a better defense than Alabama's defense. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm frustrated with it. I've been very frustrated with Garrett's play, and look, I know there's going to be a gazillion different things, supporting cast, all that stuff. Yes, this is the worst offensive tackle situation we have ever had at LSU. Yes, this is one of the worst tight end situations we've ever had at LSU. All those different things are true.
I'm sorry. No, it ain't. Trey Nance Green's a dog.
That's not what I said, though. He's a tight end in name only. And as a receiver, yes. But as a blocker, the tight end situation has been tough.
I got a solution. How about your offensive coordinator not throw 2 screens to Bauer Sharp?
That's my point.
But that ain't.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Trey'Dez Green as a tight. I don't see him as a tight end. I view him as a receiver. So
What did you view Jimmy Graham as?
Jimmy
'Cause he
Graham did some
sucked at
Jimmy
He
Graham did
sucked on
some
the line of
blocking.
scrimmage. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
did
He was one of the
some.
worst blocking tight ends in the history of the blocking inline tight ends. He sucked.
Right. Okay. But my point is,
And
while
you
Trey'Dez Green has carried this offense, that wasn't a shot at Trey'Dez Green. It's that you have not had the same blocking at the tight end that you're cutting.
Mason Taylor gave you. You're right.
Right. But the truth is, Garrett's play has regressed so much. I thought the Vanderbilt tape was going to be better. It wasn't. I thought the Texas A&M game, the worst thing about the special teams mistakes that happened in the A&M game were it overshadowed that you only averaged 4.2 yards per play in this game.
And what was it? 5.2 yards per pass.
Yeah. And look, you give him a lot of credit for the Barryon vertical. That's a great throw. About time. Okay. Like it's just and here's part of it.
It was an insane catch.
Yeah, great catch.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem, and once again, I will also defend Garrett. I will also defend it, but I am ready to see what you might have. Also, one thing I would include is that the Southeastern Conference, the quarterback play has never been better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, notice, I did not say the top end QB play. There's not a QB in the SEC that's been better than Burrow, that's been better than Jaden, that's been better than Menzel. It's not what I'm saying. It's just the bottom half of the SEC, the QB play is so good. It is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So back, let's just say when LSU had quarterbacks that we knew weren't great, guys like Brandon Harris and Anthony Jennings, it didn't matter because you were also going up against Keel Frazier. Do you remember which team Keel Frazier played for?
I don't. Oh, hold on. Auburn.
Okay, good. Dude, your ball knowledge it's always been top tier.
You want to know his number?
What?
You remember his number?
Yeah. It was
10 on 3. 1, 2, 3. 10.
10. Yes, it was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys just.
Do you know the quarterback that he replaced?
Oh, crap. Who is a quarterback he replaced at Auburn? So that would be 2012 or 2011 or 2012. It wouldn't have been Cam.
It wasn't Cam.
It wasn't Cam. It would be the guy after Cam that one of those seasons. I don't know. Tell me.
I don't remember. I just remember he was a white dude it was number 5.
But the overarching point, though, is we thought Garrett was going to be better. He wasn't. And it hurts you more when every week in the SEC you're going up against these really, really, really good quarterbacks. You don't get a week off in the SEC going up against
his inability to be mobile at all is killing you.
Yeah, and it's not just that, because look, this was relayed to me that the report or the truth about the Garrett Nussmeier,
here we go,
21 mile per hour catapult thing. All right, there's varying degrees of whatever involving that.
It's a lie. Get to the point. It's a lie. It didn't happen.
But even if it did, let's just say that it did. But let's just say even if it did, even if it was out there and Garrett said, hey, I'm going to run more this year. Well, you didn't. And that's why the QB draw play really frustrated
He wasn't prepared to run.
Well,
he wasn't. Hold on. He wasn't prepared to run.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm always going to show love for Nuss and what he did for LSU last year.
Yeah,
and he deserves
love. But when you're out there, and we've talked about this, when you're out there calling out former Heisman Trophy winners because of their process, and you're playing the way that you're playing, might want to take a look in the mirror.
No, I mean, look, it's extremely frustrating, and I could tell you.
I think they're going to. I hadn't said much here. I think that they're going to. If things do not get better, I don't know if he gets benched. If things don't get better, they're not going to sit on their hands. on this one. And I'm going to tell you something else. Wide receivers, tackles, guards, centers. You're all up on the chopping block these next 2 weeks. News flash. How about this? Sources. You're on the chopping block if you don't do your shit right.
Mm. And look, if
Frank ain't playing with them, I'm just going to tell you. You're going to see some shit at receiver that you like, huh?
I will also say this about Frank. One of the funnest game experiences I ever had, and I didn't know this going in, okay, was in 2022, early December. I go to the SEC championship game versus Georgia. Okay. Got a good opportunity to go to this game because I didn't have SEC championship money and I still don't. And I got to sit next to Frank's family at the game. I did not know that.
Quad.
Quad was
on the
dressed
field.
out, but shout out to that outstanding group of people. His wife, everyone there. They were so hilarious. I got too energetic during that game, but they said that they liked the energy. So to Frank's family, I meant to do this on my channel earlier. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm happy for Frank.
The Frank day ones. I know Frank's getting a lot of credit, and look, he deserves it. But Frank's family, if you're watching this, just know I'm sorry for standing up the entire game and yelling a bunch, but they said they liked it.
Last question, and I gotta get a lot of these super chats. I gotta get you out of here. If he wins out today, do they look at him?
Yeah, I think it'd be a disservice to him doing that because he would do it as an underdog twice on the road. Then it gets into money. You know, that's money saved on what, you know, like how much more is Frank going to want to be the head coach of? And that's a question that he would have to answer. Because
and I love Frank, but I get to a place where if it comes down to Frank and Lane Kiffin, you might have to make a hard decision.
Oh, that's an easy one for me. That's and if it was down to those two things where it was you're paying Frank a third maybe of what you would be paying Kiffin yearly, somewhere around a third, a half, or whatever, I'm still going the Kiffin route. That's where I'd be. But even if Frank went undefeated, that's how high I am on Lane.
I agree.
But
all right, go ahead.
But that's also not. It's not really
not a shot.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things where personally, I think most LSU fans, and more importantly, most LSU players that have played, they would sign off on it, take $1 million from me out of my NFL check. I'm all for it. But yeah, we also need to be rational here. Thank you, Blake. Appreciate you. Cheers.
Carter the Power Bryant, always fantastic. Love you, buddy. See ya.
You buddy. Cheers.
All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Let me get to these super chats before we get out of here really quickly. Corey became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Corey. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. Adam Martin became a member on the YouTube channel. Also greatly appreciate you doing that as well. Bryce with a $2 super chat says, we get Nick. Bama rivalry is biggest in the sport, without a doubt. See, here's the thing with Nick here's the thing with Nick for me. The thing with Nick for me that gets really interesting is I do think that he thinks about legacy a lot. And would Bama pull his name off of that field because he would go back to LSU? And I do think that he thinks about that. So I think that'd be something that would be very interesting. Penn Jones with a $5 super chat says, hate Miss Terry sold the house in BR when Nick retired. That sure would have helped getting him back. Maybe. I didn't know about the house thing, though. I didn't know that. Maybe, but you might be paid $18 million a year to coach LSU. They could buy a new house. Shit, somebody will give him a house. I ain't worried about no house. Mr. Terps says Laney Kiffin is a good coach, and a lot of players love him, and he has a good relationship with them. That's one thing Lane has done at an elite level, man. Lane has done such an elite job of connecting with today's players. Like, they did a documentary on him, and they followed around players, and at random, they're just sitting in his office, and they're chilling. Like, I think they love being around him. Like, they actually love being around him. And he's definitely connected with this year's or this generation's players. General Grievous with a $5 super chat says, depending on who we get, is there enough time for them to dominate, build relationships, and flip commits? The 2027 class has a lot of Louisiana 5-stars. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of time that they can get those guys in here. You got well of enough time because money helps. Money helps. So, there's well enough time. And I think you hire Lane Kiffin, recruits are going to drool over the situation to come to LSU to play for him. It kind of is Lane or bust for me in a lot of ways. It really is. Even if he lost out at Ole Miss. Bayou Boogie says, make Nagy pony up to keep landing in Oregon. LSU needs to at least make a pitch. I agree, and you could weaken them in the process in doing it. But I don't think that, like Josh Pate said on the show the other day, I don't think that, I don't think that Phil Knight backs down from that, to be real with you. Richie Roche on YouTube with a $20 super chat says, how many years do you think Saban has left in him? Would you prefer 3 to 5 years or 8 to 10 of Kiffin with similar results? I mean, if you're asking me what I would do, I would go with Kiffin in a lot of ways in that regard in reference to long-term success. Nick Saban is 74 years old. He's not going to be here more than 5 years, in my humble opinion. And here's the truth. When it's all said and done and all these things are being talked about, I don't think he does it. Because he's 74 years old. You get what I'm saying? Like, he ain't a spring chicken. So that's it. It would mean that he would want to come back a lot, or you're just paying him a ridiculous amount of money to do it. So I would, for long-term success, I'd say Lane. But here's the thing with Lane Kiffin. As soon as every job in America opens, NFL jobs open, his name's going to get brought up, and you're going to have to deal with that. But I can deal with that. Alexander Taylor with a $5 super chat says, I might be in the minority, but I want Witt, Aaron, and Perk back next year. And I think that you'll get 2 of those 3, to be honest with you. I do think you get 2 of those 3. Bayou Boogie with a $5 super chat says, I liked Frankie's rally call. Frank's rally call, not Frankie. The siren reference was inspiring. I agree it was. It's a really good reference. Hey, man, we all got to roll in the same direction. I completely agree with you there. Brandon with a $2 super chat says, who is making this hire, the AD or the board? If you're asking me from some things that I hear and just based off of their actions, it's not Scott Woodward. I do think that they have leaned on Austin Thomas a lot. And I think if you ask Austin Thomas who he would go after, I think he'd tell you Lane Kiffin, if he told you at all. That's what I think. Dr. John Sibley Butler with a $20 super chat says, guys, will Frank bring back the fullback position? Wow. He loves the power game. I don't know. I do think that they're going to run the ball a lot. And, I do question Alabama's run defense in some regards. They've been very leaky this year in some instances, and teams that have stayed with it have been really close with them. I don't think he brings back the fullback position because I don't really think you have a fullback unless you just move Jack Pyburn. Adam with a $5 super chat says, any chance Austin Thomas becomes AD if Woodward is let go? That'd be crazy if Scott Woodward fired the guy that replaced him. I would not hate Austin Thomas being your AD at all. And I think that he would lead in the right way, and he would do some serious shit in fundraising like he did last year. Some serious shit. I think Austin's been fantastic. I think Austin wants to remain a GM. Maybe he would be an AD, and if he'd given that opportunity, but we would have to see with that. I think it would. I don't know if they would go Austin Thomas. I could be wrong. Jed with a $5 super chat says, if Lane accepts and Ole Miss goes to the finals of the college football playoff, when is announcement? Because you got to find staff quick. Well, I think he would take a lot of his staff with him. And technically, you don't fire staff, so you would have a staff. So, for an example, does he keep like a Blake Baker or Frank Wilson? Frank Wilson and Lane Kiffin coach together at Tennessee. I mean, they have a connection through Orgeron. Here would be the funniest shit ever. What if Lane Kiffin brought Ed Orgeron back to coach his defensive line? That would be funny. And it won't happen, but it would be funny. But I bring this in to say, guys, we were in a situation last year where Kalen DeBoer, like, guys, you're talking late January, early February, and they went 9-3 in year one, and guys, look at them right now. I mean, if you got your guy, you gotta do it. You gotta hold on for dear life and hope that you can land there. Cajun Tiger says, how would you rate Alex Atkins as a play caller? I don't know how I'd rate him. I don't know. I wish I could give you an answer. I think that you're going to run the ball a lot more. I think he's a solid play caller. Like a lot of people at Florida State said Alex Atkins didn't call plays. Go watch that 2022 LSU game when he's sitting there with a play sheet calling plays, and you can see his lips moving when he's calling in plays. Like that's clearly not the case. But we're going to find out really quickly. Go hard or go home. With a $2 super chat says, does Drinkwitz's record versus ranked opponents bother you? Yes. Yes, it does. It does. But my question is, does he, I mean, like Dan Lanning didn't have a good one. Ryan Day didn't have a good one. Kirby in the beginning didn't have a good one. So you're just going to have to live with that because I don't think he could get the players there that he could get at LSU. Brandon 337, Brandon. With a $2 super chat says, does LSU score over 20 points against Bama? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe now that you got a new staff in there it's got the reins here. Maybe. We'll see. Mike Honcho became a member on the YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate you doing that. All right, we're out of here. Every AYS sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Go over to FanDuel.com today or download the FD Sportsbook app. Any thoughts, questions, concerns, go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. And every AYS sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. The spread on FanDuel, I'm sure, for the LSU-Alabama game will be out soon. I would expect it to be about a touchdown and a half point spread. But you can go do that and place all those bets for this week's upcoming games. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.